Okay, hopefully, well, this will be the second to the last video on this cash flow waterfall. The last one will summarize this. We'll make some quarterly and annual summaries, and we'll roll up the analysis. Now, for this one, we put in a cash sweep. Let's make it just a 50% cash flow sweep. Okay. Then, actually, compared to some of the others, it should be pretty easy. Because to put in this cash flow sweep, first thing we'll do is on the repayment of the debt, we can put less early prepayment from sweep. I suppose I should be talking about what these things do. The cash flow sweep simply says, okay, instead of allowing these dividends to be paid, in this case we have a high case, so we have some dividends in all of these periods. We're going to take these dividends and we're going to pay the debt off early, and then you get more dividends at the end. Now, equity sponsors would hate this because it essentially shortens the maturity of the debt, but you can get back probably some of the losses on the cash flow sweep by refinancing the debt. So the first thing we need to do is put this in. Now, in some of these situations, we could sweep the cash here. We could sweep this cash before we go to the next step. Okay, here we've got a little more cash. In this case, we're actually allowing the dividend to be paid. And here, so we'd sweep this cash down here before we allow it to be paid. Okay, now when we sweep it, we could, I suppose, just reduce the cash flow, but let's have it. Let's put a little sweep account. So we sweep the cash, we take it away, and then we use it to repay the debt in the next period. So of course I've never done this before in kind of a monthly analysis, so we'll that might not be true, but we need to set up a cash sweep account. Okay, and so just like we do before, and we put, of course, an opening balance, and then we subtract out, we add into this account swept cash, and then we take away cash, how about used for early repayment, and then we can put a closing balance. Okay, now the cash swept will come from straight this account, and then the amount we'll repay will, I suppose we'll do the same thing. We'll put it somewhere down here, and we'll see how much is in the account, how much we swept, and make sure that we never sweep, we never pay off more than this, and there's going to be a little trick here. I'm going to make a mistake. I can see it right now, because we have to make sure we don't sweep too much cash. That's kind of the trick. So let's insert 3 lines and put less deposits into cash sweep. Now, if you were just doing this in a simple way, we would put a. Let's first put the cash sweep percentage here. Okay, so let's just go through some basic cash sweep analysis. Okay, and I'll put it here. Okay. If we just did a regular one, let's do a regular one. We put minimum. Well, first we only sweep when the cash flow is maximum, when the cash flow is positive. So we do this. I think that will always kind of be in there, and then we put minimum of either that amount of the cash or that amount of the cash or the or the opening balance of the debt. And when we take the opening balance of the debt, we better subtract the amount that we paid in this period. Okay? Now, that's 100% cash flow sweep. So we've taken all this cash flow and just used it to pay off the debt early. Now, there's a problem with this, because we want to pay the 50% cash flow sweep. Now, when you do this, you cannot put the 50% outside like that. That doesn't work, because then your test of the opening balance won't be correct. You need to put the test of the opening balance inside the parentheses. Okay, so that's our cash flow sweep. Now, let's just kind of finish this little example up. If we now take this one from the cash sweep, if we take this one from the cash flow sweep, I'm going to have to stop and go to breakfast, by the way. There's going to be a problem. Okay, so we can put the closing balance as this one also minus this. Okay, and what happens is we get, well, we get negative sweeps because here, and it happens in all of this. So this amount has to be the minimum of what we took or the opening balance. Okay, when we have a cash sweep, because we might not have to stop this, and then I've got some dreaded blue lines, and I'm going to stop the video and we'll fix that one, and then we'll fix the rest of the cash flow sweep. Okay, I just removed the blue line from the cash sweep that we had. Now, this is really philosophical. This is really philosophical. This is where circular reference and philosophy merge. Okay, ages ago, I had somebody who told me there's no such thing as a circular reference in the real world. That's not the way things work. They don't iterate around, and they don't go around and around. And you know, I think he was from Poland, and I think he's right. worked at Price Waterhouse or something. He's right. But if there's a model, and if the model drives the debt sizing, but the debt sizing is included in the model, there is a natural circular reference there. In this instant, there's no natural circular reference. Now, the circular reference, the reason we had a circular reference was simply because in the debt service reserve account, right now I took I think I took the required debt service now. Yes. Now, on this one, previously, we just had a simple sum. Here's what we had before. We had a sum of the debt service. Where is the debt service? We took this, and I said, that's a pretty crude method, and then we added to that the we added, I think, 40, a semi-annual interest to that. Okay, and then we said, okay, well, that's our debt service. Okay, now I'm going to, since I took a little break, I actually had breakfast and had a nice time, you know, here was our formula. Our formula was the maximum of this or 0, and then we had the minimum of this number, and this maximum we multiplied by the F4, and then we take the minimum of that, or the defaulted, the balance of the debt minus the repayment we had scheduled, okay? And then the circular reference came because I know that this was just in the video, but excuse me for redoing this because I had to think about it for a minute. The circular reference came because of the deposits into the cash sweep, okay? And here's why they came about. We had the debt schedule, and then we had our dreaded blue lines. Oh, my blue lines. Oh, I hate these blue lines. But in this one, I kind of didn't completely freak out because I've done this before, and I know there's a solution to this one. And the solution to this one is logic. It's not some fancy programming. The logic is that right now, this debt service account, the interest on the debt service is driven, and the debt service reserve is driven by the semi-annual interest, and this interest itself is driven by the early repayment. Now that is just false. There is no way, I don't care how good a banker you are, but you're not going to go and adjust the debt service reserve account and the debt service account. You're not going to do that, and you're not going to push that down because we had a cash sweep. That's the reality of it, and that's the fallacy. That's the fallacy of this debt service reserve account. Now, the reason this worked is because I used a simplistic sum, and the sum went too far into the future. Now, if we are a little more creative, and we realize that we put offset sum, and we limit this to this period, and the way we limit it to this period is we go to our debt service and we say, okay, I'm just only going to account for two things. I'm only going to account for the repayment. So we put this, let's just do it this, 0, 0, 1 for the height, and then I did something. I spent a little bit of time here. I kind of cheated. And then we'll go forward 6 months. Okay? Suppose, and then Shift Control R, and it still didn't work. Just a minute. this one. This one is this. Okay. Don't worry, don't worry, don't worry. That's the debt service reserve account still. What? Why did I do? Just a minute. Let's just zero this out for just a minute. Okay, and then we get rid of our circular reference. Now, did I do something wrong here? I think I didn't. I think here's the reason. I'm going to take this amount that we put into our debt service reserve account. Sorry. This time I'm going to take it from the cash sweep account. Now, what I have done, let's go and look at the cash sweep account for a minute. Okay, so here's the difference. This cash sweep, we're not going to actually make a payment on this cash sweep until we've finished. So let's put the opening balance of the cash sweep equals the closing balance. Now we're just going to add and put in this account how much cash we've swept. So that, as usual, that comes from down here. That comes from the deposits. But this time, we're only going to use this amount. So we can take the sum of these two amounts and we can take those amounts, and if we need an if statement here, by the way, it doesn't work with simple multiplication. I think it doesn't work. If it's a repayment switch, then we're going to pay it. And if you don't like the false, just multiply it by 1. Okay. And then, and this is gonna. We also have to take the smaller of this or the balance of the debt, but we'll do that. So that just a minute. So this is this plus the cash sweep minus the amount we used for earlier repayment minus the stuff we just take out of the account. Now, if we wait. And that means our interest expense, this is the key, our interest expense will not be affected. Let me repeat that about 10 times. Our interest expense, if we don't take this out until the repayment date, our interest expense won't be affected by it. And then we'll remove all the circularity. It wasn't so easy, okay? And we haven't finished it yet, okay? So now let's go and finish this account, and I am fairly certain that I will have to stop recording the video. I hope I'm recording. I am recording. That's good news. So, you know, so we have this deposits that we put into the cash sweep account. So far, there's still no. So this amount here, we're going to put into the cash sweep account. Okay, this is the amount we put in because we have some good, nice cash flows. I need to freeze the panes again. Okay. Okay, so that was horrible, wasn't it? Alt WFF. Whoops, that was Alt WFFF. So let's freeze it by going up here. Alt WFF. Oh, freezing the panes. Okay. So, where were we? So we were looking at the cash sweep, and let's just kind of see what happens. So we put this cash sweep in, and then we take it out. Okay, and when we take it out, we go up to the debt account. Sorry, accrued interest. So now hopefully this debt balance subtracts that, okay? And then we go to the next year and we take some out just when we have our cash sweep. Okay, and finally, oops, we have a problem. Because good. We only have a problem in one period, but that's a good enough problem. That's kind of the problem I was looking for, because we started with 140. We should have not swept this cash flow. The cash flow we should have swept should have been the minimum of this minus this. Now, I thought that's what we had done. Oh, but here's the problem. Yeah, this was, we had swept it earlier, and we had put it into our account. So that's when the monthly model kind of is going to create a little bit of a problem. We swept this cash flow, and we put it into our account, and that's too much. So guess what we're going to have to use? We're going to have to use the minimum on this one. So I guess this is an exception. This probably should somehow be used inside the cash flow, because it's violating my rule, and I have a suspicion that when I violate my rule, I'm going to make some kind of mistakes. But, and remember, the rule is all the calculations go in that cash flow waterfall. So we take this and we subtract the repayment on that one, and then we close that. Why didn't that bracket close? Well, because I didn't press the shift key. Okay. So we fix this one, and we go across. Oh, it looks like there's some kind of, oh, that negative was okay. I'm just looking kind of for negative numbers. That's just, and we were funding there. Okay, so in this case, uh-oh, we come on, we take the debt schedule. Oh shoot, what happened here? It should have been the minimum of this minus this, which is 0, and this repayment should have been 0. Okay, I'm leaving the video on just for a minute. This is too long a formula. This sucks. Just a minute. I'm going to stop this right here. Okay, I still hate the formula, but the mistake was I had a 0 in here instead. I really hate this long formula. You probably think, some of you think, oh, he must be smart. Hey, I'm not smart, that's for sure. But you might think, oh, wow, long formula. Sucks. It's the worst thing. It's the disgusting disease of people who think they're good at modeling. Now now what we can do in the very last one is to say, well, you know, in this particular case here, we still have 65 left over. So what we need to do is just take this cash away, and we need to let this cash flow into the cash flow waterfall. So let's just take this line. So this only occurs when it's a repayment period, and when it is a repayment period, we can take this minus the opening balance and see how much we can release. Okay? Or how about we'll do it back the other way around. We'll take this. That's how much we have in the opening balance, and we'd like to pay off this plus this. Okay, that's how much, but we only do that if it's the repayment period. Okay, whoops, we need a comma. And finally, this can only be positive. So we take the maximum of this, of 0. I agree that's painful. Let's put that over to the beginning. And let's press Shift Control R and make sure we don't take anything out until the very, very last period. Don't say that that's not painful, okay? And then we just have to now put this into our cash flow waterfall. So I think there probably would be a better way to do this by having the real formulas down here. But we'll put add cash released from sweep account. Okay, and all I can say is at least we use the minimum and maximum account. You know what I meant. Okay, and then we can make a subtotal. Cash flow after sweep. Okay, and of course, and that is this minus this plus this. Okay, now when we do this one, okay, we will what am I going to say? This is nothing very interesting other than to say that this final number has to be adjusted, and this number has to take the amount after the sweep. Oh, that's the amount we had in the account, so we can take these three, Shift Control R, and we can kind of check, well, this here we swept half of the cash, we let it go down into the account. We saw what our covenant was, and we passed our covenant, so we allowed a dividend. We allowed another dividend, and then we're going back and accumulating all this cash and putting it into the debt service account until we're finished putting it in. Then we have some left over, we sweep the amount, and then we trap what's ever left over. After we trap it, next year our covenant is passed, we allow the dividend to occur, and blah blah blah. Okay, and I'm going to okay, I think I'll still call this the monthly cash flow waterfall. Okay, and we've got one final video to make, which I think is fairly, and then we'll put instead of counter, what should we put? This is month to repaint, something like that. Okay, not exactly. All right, and now we have kind of I didn't mean to really do this, but we have kind of a full cash flow waterfall on a monthly basis, and the next exercise will be to roll this up into annual and quarterly amounts, and we want to put this stuff on the balance sheet because it's very likely that I made an error here, and the balance sheet would catch this error. That's why balancing the balance sheet is probably the most happy feeling you can have on the planet.